This is Talking Voiceovers with me, Gail Gosselin, interviewing professionals of the South African industry to inspire each other and all newcomers. So what did you do during the pandemic last year?
I've had a home studio before the pandemic because I wasn't getting enough studio bookings because I was the newbie 5 years ago. You know, it's been 10 years, but like basically I thought, oh, I'm not getting, if you're not at a major talent agency and you're not getting rebooked by these clients and you don't have that experience, you're going to lose your craft. So another thing of mine is if you don't use it, you lose it. Same with presenting. So I started YouTube channel and I started these weird and wacky projects with my cameraman friend and my husband who's a sound guy, and I go, let's go together guys and do this, because I just wanted to keep practicing in front of camera. And I set up a home studio and I invested in a mic and all of that because I thought I'm going to lose it if I rely on studio bookings that aren't really coming in fast and heavy right now. I got the home set up pretty much early on and I was doing things over the internet, which was great. So luckily for me, I was still active during lockdown. It was still stressful, I'm not going to lie, because you don't know what's coming being an entrepreneur. But yeah, we kept the work going. And you know what? Just shows you how resilient you are. I believe geez, man, guys, if we can get through lockdown and last year, you can do anything. So if your passion is baking cakes, I suggest you find a way and immerse yourself and do it, because you will do it.
Yeah, it's a good thing there's YouTube out there because A, we can watch your DIY videos, and B, we can teach ourselves how to, I don't know, run Zoom interviews and do voiceovers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is like, even now as having an interview via the internet, like, you know, times change. That's why I said it's always evolving. Your career's always evolving, but the world's always evolving. You are always evolving. You're not kind of the same person you were at 18 as what you are now. So if you're ready for it and you evolve with it and you gravitate towards it, like, you know, for me, always in my mind when I was in my mid-20s was TV presenter, TV presenter, TV presenter. And I can tell you that, like, you know, TV's changing. So it's not quite the same anymore. So now what is my goal now? And then I'm like, okay, camera presenter, on camera presenter, a presenter. And it changes. And now like social media and YouTube and that is being watched more than conventional TV. So it always changes. So just always evolve with it. And if it changes, go with the flow, but keep your passion.
I was probably the busiest I've ever been last year in 2020.
Fabulous.
Yeah, you know, because I do so many things, my time is kind of limited when it comes to each one of them. Voiceovers, I sort of neglected. I had a portable one, you know, setup that I did, and I used to travel a lot with my mic and, you know, be able to squeeze in a voiceover or two here and there. But because we were at home and I had a home setup, I was able to record every day. And a lot of people don't have home setups, and therefore, you know, those jobs sort of came our way, the people with home setups. Yeah.
The setup that I'm using now is what I would use as a home studio. So I have a USB mic and I have a door that I use, and that's how I was able to work with my agent, because at the beginning, at the beginning of the pandemic, it was just quiet, nothing was happening, and I just thought to myself, put something together or you're gonna starve. So before I was able to get the mic, what I did was I had to borrow here and there, and you know, I didn't even know the editing, so I had to get someone to edit for me and pay them, just so that it's better to have money come in and share it with someone.
Sure.
So that they can help me put the work together. But at least we both have something, either than like me not getting anything at all. So in the beginning of the pandemic, I didn't get any work. Then I called my agent and said, you know what, actually, I have a home studio and I got someone that whose studio I can use. And then I got someone whose studio I can use. And I said to this person, okay, I'll pay you for studio time. I just need you to record. I just need to record this for me at a certain time. So I had to make sure that this person's studio that I'm using is available at that time and is comfortable. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I had to make sure that they're comfortable with me using their equipment. And then from there, I went to putting this setup that we're using now. I had to put that together, and we just had to do that. It had to be that, or honestly, stop. A decision had to be made, and I just made one, and it helped. It helped because had I not made the decision to collaborate, so to speak, with someone, I would not have had any work. I would not have had any work, and I wouldn't have, I think, the danger with relying on going to studios, you somehow become complacent. And I mean, here I was, now I have to pay someone to edit work for me, but if I had taken the initiative and learned that actually you can put together a studio, you can start with a USB mic, you can ask, why did it have to be in a crisis in order to learn how to do the setup or how to have the setup that we are having right now,
Well, I borrowed my brother's microphone because he's got an amazing USB mic, a Yeti, and I used that. Yes or no, because it's not mine, so I'm going to buy a mic. But I did some research, and then I built a little voice box thing that I studied online. And I know that certain people say don't use egg boxes, but I couldn't get that foam at the time. Put layers and layers within this box, and I had built it at an angle, and it actually worked really well. And I used that for recordings, and I did a few voiceover competitions online, made a new voice tape for a studio. So I did what I could. I didn't do as much work, I think, as if I could have had built my own studio, which some actors did do. So I'd like to still do that.
Wow, the pandemic. I actually flew to America on the 11th of March to surprise my family, and my mother graduated and turned 60. And I got stuck there for 3 months. And it was hectic. It was chaos. Being stuck in a dollar country for 3 months with a rand wallet wasn't easy. But I couldn't get any jobs. I couldn't book any jobs. I did one voiceover in a random studio of a gospel American artist, and that was for one of the clients I was the voice of. But when I returned, I moved in with a sound engineer, who I still live with now. So I have a home studio, which is just a chaotic eyeball. I don't know if you know what it's like. A
chaotic eyeball. We'll post a picture of it.
I have a mic set up and slowly expanding on that. But I guess my main resource is my sound engineer. So
yeah,
it all just worked out for me.
Lockdown was very interesting for me. I was a finalist. The Natural Wildlife Foundation, they do wildlife films. They have a huge conference once a year. I had written and directed a film during lockdown, which did very, very well. And I won subscription to this thing. And they had this thing of voiceover to voice a wildlife documentary. So I was locked up at home and I just thought, why not? I literally recorded it on my phone. And then I got a call going, yeah, please attend the conference. You're a finalist. And I was like, you're joking.
Wow, flashback. Just before it happened, literally on the night that we were locked down, a very good friend of mine helped me set up at home and just set myself up with a little recording setup. It wasn't the best in quality program, Audacity, which I'll plug because they got me through the absolute worst of it.
Look, obviously we've got our sanitizing stations and everything. We've got the screening process that everyone kind of has to do. That's the normal stuff. I think where it hit us the hardest was our full-time courses with the students coming in every day. And basically what we did was we went into an emergency remote teaching process where we put students onto WhatsApp groups and to online platforms where we could carry on, but that wasn't replacements of classes. That was purely designed to keep the cogs turning in the students' heads and keep them motivated in the course they want to do. It didn't replace their marks or anything like that. When we came out of lockdown, because we're such a small institution, a lot of your universities were limited to numbers and stuff like that, and therefore could only bring third years in back, and your first and second years still stayed home longer. But because we're such a small college, we were able to bring back first, second, and third years of classes and carry on. And we've extended our academic calendar, and the students provided the same amount of work as any previous year, and they the same quality of student from any previous year.
Do you get to do as much of studio work now that things have opened up a bit after the pandemic?
Yeah, no, definitely.
You back
definitely.
out
It's
there
opened
again.
up. It's opened up, but obviously with safety precautions and spraying of the mics and the earphones and all of that. And but yeah, we do. I do.
Good. So you've continued having work despite the lockdowns. That
Yes,
didn't
no,
stop.
definitely,
That's great.
definitely. And having a studio also really helped. Yeah, it really helped because at times you wake up 8:30, you get a text for 10, and you're like, oh, you know what? Let me just rather do it here. And then you forget all about your preparations and your hummings. So yeah, the prep really it's a touch and go situation in voiceovers. It's really a touch and depending also on your clients. But if you know that every day I get my bookings from 9:30, or the day before, it makes it easier. But if TV and radio are instant, everything needs to go in now at that particular time, or let me just say the time frame is shorter than like a corporate read or any other read that's outside of the scope of TV and radio.
So you mean the deadline? You have to get it
The
out.
deadlines.
Chop chop. All right.
Deadlines, yeah. People leave for QCs, guys, they leave and all of that.
Thanks for watching Talking Voiceovers. If you don't want to miss any of the following episodes, subscribe and hit the bell button.